We have this great system, all of a sudden it's become very attackable by politicians. One of my favorite quotes is President Eisenhower, this great man who fought the Second World War. The Democrats wanted him to run, but he was a Republican, a moderate conservative Republican. He fought the Second World War. He leaves office and warns about the military-industrial complex. He opposes desegregation, but he enforces the law of the land because he believes in the institution of government and civility, something our Republicans today seem not to believe in. He talks about, to his brother, what will happen if anyone tries to undercut Social Security. And the short story is, should any political party try to abolish Social Security, unemployment insurance, and the like, they will not be heard of again in our political history. So this is a long time ago. And he says, there's some crazies out there like H.L. Hunt, the oil man. But as he puts it, the Hunt was like the Koch brothers of today. Yeah. There are some crazies out there, but as he says it, their number is negligible and they are stupid. This is our conservative, Republican, moderate President Eisenhower. We've gone a long way from that. We have a moderate Democrat talking about cutting your Social Security and putting it forward as almost as a badge of courage. So what happened? Short story. There are those folks who have never liked Social Security. They voted against it. Originally, Republicans did not support Social Security. By the 50s, they were on board with it. They wanted something a little different, but they were there. But there were people who thought it was a horrible idea. Government is basically all of us doing together what we can't do by ourselves. They don't believe in that. They've fought it ideologically. They've thrown everything they possibly can at it. It's socialistic. That didn't work. It's unfair to future generations. When we were in our 30s, we were told it won't be there for us because guess what? They're those seniors who are eating up the program. Well, it's there for us. And it'll be there for our children if we make sure it's there and if they make sure it's there. But they threw everything at it. In 1983, the system was quite sound after the 1982 amendments. The Greenspan Commission put some recommendations forward. There was a bipartisan solution to a shortfall. And 60% of the solution came from cuts, raising the retirement age and taxing benefits. But in the context of that day, it was a pretty reasonable outcome because we thought the pension system was expanding and the like. Right after that legislation, the right wing starts talking about how you can pull apart Social Security. In a wonderfully titled argument in a very conservative journal, a fellow who becomes the vice president of a right-wing foundation, the Heritage Foundation, Stuart Butler writes a piece called The Leninist Approach to Social Security Reform. And here's the story. Tell people 55 and over, don't worry, your benefits will not be cut. Have you heard that one? Yeah. Tell people under 55, these systems don't work for you. Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, they're not going to be there. You need to privatize it. You need to change it. It's not going to undermine confidence. Build alliances with the financial industry and with others. Send the message out and build down that message. And they did that. And they threw everything at it. They said Social Security is not fair to baby boomers because they wouldn't be getting benefits. They said Social Security is not fair to low-income people because it didn't eliminate poverty. And they said Social Security is not fair to high-income people because they don't get the same rate of return as low-income people. And it goes on and on and on. That hurt. But it didn't take. The mid-1990s, Bill Clinton actually started to talk about a partial privatization with Newt Gingrich. Surprise! But a Democrat starts talking about that. And what happened? It would have very possibly moved towards to a legislative phase. What saved us from it? Monica Lewinsky. Thank you. Thank you, Monica. And because Mr. Gingrich said, Speaker Gingrich said, I have to make more political hay with the Lewinsky scandal and impeaching the president ridiculously than being bipartisan. So then we have George Bush, and he tries to privatize it. How many of you wrote letters against or called up against privatization or went to rallies?
Yeah.
Good, good. Keep doing it, because we need it again. That beat back privatizing Social Security in that period. So then they tried something else. They started to say, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid are a cause of the federal deficit.
Yeah.
So here we have 2 wars. We send our young people, men and women, off to war without supporting them, without giving them necessary armament at times, armor suit at first. We send them off, we don't tax ourselves. It's an easy war, and we knew it was going to be over in a few days anyway, right?
Yeah.
So we send them out, and that builds a deficit. We create huge tax cuts that go primarily to the most well-off in our society. And we do some other things. We have this huge recession, and we have to spend money to prevent the economy from collapsing. Now, we could all disagree, we could all think it could have been done better, but the fact is, that's what had to be done, and we haven't done it. So we have a deficit, it's real. Bill Clinton gave him a surplus, by the way, gave Bush a surplus. We have a deficit, so now you have a new story. It's called entitlements. They turned this word entitlement, 11 letters, into a 4-letter word. And it's even a 4-letter word we can say, entitlements, in public. But it has worse implications than some of the other 4-letter words, because it pretends, it acts as if there's this huge problem and it's all the same. First of all, Social Security does not have a significant shortfall. It has sufficient resources to meet all obligations for 20 years. After that, it meets 3/4 of its obligations. Obviously, we have to fix it, but there are ways to do that. You can eliminate the cap, and that scrapping the cap, asking everyone to pay the same Social Security payroll tax contributions as everyone else, addresses about 80% of the shortfall. So that 85% or so. So there are lots of ways to do it, but they want to make this a huge problem. Then they talk about Medicare and Medicaid, and I know that Jody will be talking about that. They talk about that as a problem. These are the 2 most efficient parts of our healthcare system, along with Veterans Administration and the military system. They run on a small administrative overhead because they operate in a sense like single-payer plans. Ultimately, instead of talking about, as the president put on the table, that now has come back from, but the Republicans, Mr. Ryan loves, and it's in his bill. It's tucked in the Ryan budget, by the way, but he didn't highlight it. Instead of raising Medicare age to 67, we should be talking about lowering the age of eligibility for Medicare to 0.
Yeah.
At birth.